It's the night you've been waiting for. The annual Guild elections are back. Campaigning is now at a close, your votes have been counted, and we'll be finding out who the next Guild officers are for the academic year. Let the countdown begin. This is the Guild Elections Results Night 2024. Hello and welcome to the Guild Elections Results Night. I'm your presenter Maddie, and tonight here at Guild TV our dedicated team is ready to bring you the latest updates, insightful analysis and the pulse of the Guild of Students. We'll be taking you through how your vote is counted, how officers support students and their problems, a quick look at the Guild's candidate question time and many interviews giving you a range of perspectives on the importance of the Guild elections in light of the recent economic climate. I'm joined by our roaming presenter Max, who is live in Underground.
That's right, and in just a few moments the results will be announced. Now, the candidates are arriving, so I'm going to be chatting to some previous officers about their past year and maybe get some insight into the night as it unfolds.
Thank you, Max. Joining us is analyst Poppy from Red Brick News, who will be keeping track of tonight's events and giving us the insight on the election results. Poppy, it's good to have you.
It's great to be here.
So how do you think this year's elections will differ from previous years?
So I think the most obvious one is that we have a lot more candidates. I think we've got 8 running for Guild President and 16 for Sustainability Officer. So, the competition is going to be pretty intense this year.
Yeah, okay. And how do you think students have been impacted by particular issues this year?
So we do have a continuation of the cost of living crisis and, lots of measures being brought in to address that. But equally, we have some things, reflecting the international events and just like current geopolitical events that, people are talking about in their manifestos.
Well, the votes are in and the candidates are waiting. The anticipation is building. We certainly have an exciting night ahead of ourselves. But before we reveal the final results, Guild TV took a deep dive into how your votes are counted.
Across all types of elections, small and large scale, we use different voting systems to determine the elected candidate. In the Guild elections, we use a system called ATV, which stands for Alternative Transferable Vote. It can also be called Alternative Vote, or AV for short. In the UK, we use ATV to elect the chairs of most committees in the House of Commons. It's also used by unions representing teachers, doctors and nurses, and it's even used by the Academy Award to select the winner of the Oscar for Best Picture. So how does ATV work? ATV is simple. It works by allowing voters to rank the candidates in order of preference using numbers. For example, number 1 would be their favourite candidate and number 4 their least favourite. Voters can rank as many or as few of the candidates that they like, meaning you can even vote for just one candidate. When voting is closed, all first preference votes are counted first. If a candidate receives more than 50% of first preference votes, then they will be elected as the winner. If none of the candidates acquire more than 50% of first preference votes, then the candidate with the fewest first preference votes is eliminated from the election. This person's second preference votes are then reallocated to the remaining candidates. If one candidate now has more votes than the rest of the candidates put together, that candidate is now elected. If this is not the case, then the whole process is repeated until one candidate has more votes than the rest of the candidates put together. They are then the winner of the election. So why should we use the ATV voting system for the Guild elections? The simple answer is that it's a fairer process. In the UK general elections, we use the first past the post voting system. This is the approach you'll recognise as marking an X on a ballot paper for the candidate you want to win. Although the first past the post system might seem like a fair approach, as the person with the most votes wins, ATV is actually a much fairer approach. Let's say that in a general election we have 4 candidates, A, B, C and D, and 100 people vote to elect the winner. Person A receives 34 votes, person B receives 28 votes, person C receives 21 votes, and person D receives 17 votes. Person A wins the election because they've got the majority of votes. Seems fair, right? If we take a closer look, we can see that although 34 people voted for person A, 66 people did not. This means that the majority of people did not vote for person A to win the election. Unlike first past the post, the ATV voting system that we use in the Guild elections ensures that the election winner has the support of the majority of people. Therefore, ATV reflects the wants of society, not just the choices of minority. So hopefully now you're a little bit more clear on how your votes are used to select a winner of the Guild elections, and can rest assured that your vote truly matters. Now back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Laura. Now, why don't we take a look at this year's candidates and what roles they're running for? So, starting with the candidates who are running for our part-time positions and NUS delegates, we have Women's Officer Jayathi Padita, Sarah Griffiths, Mimia Islam, Kesey Prescott, and Yasmin Ahmad Baghdadi, and Deeksha Saini, Deepika Santosh Nirula, Sakshi Galot, Sujana Vijapur, Anushka Mandal, and Vrushali Puri. For other trans and non-binary students officer, we have Abigail Payne. Moving on to the ethnic minority students officer, Sama Adilsuki, Arman Hussain, Lisa Rabogo, and Savannah Grantham. For sustainability officer, Rupal Karar, Charvi Kaneja, Fatima Madani, Luke Deary, Suprabha Bhatt, Parth Kadolkar, Rohan Bujbal, Shivam Gupta, Aiza Bello, Jayshila Periyasamy, Noor Chopra, Vaibhav Sharma, Sankalp Singhai, Aditya Rajamohan, Fozan Mohammed, and Max Williams. For the LGBTQ+ students officer, we have Trinity. For the disabled students officer, Joel Ramsey Johnson, Yanhi Chow, Abby Kenrick, and Yusuf Ozdemir. For the NUS National Conference delegate, we have Deepika Santosh Nirula, Alishka Gooch, Aditya Rajamohan, Adwitya Hedge, and Eamon Day. For the NUS Liberation Conference trans student delegate, we have Robin Hayward. For the NUS Liberation Conference Black female student delegate, Lisa Rabogo and Amira Campbell. And now we'll take a look at our candidates running for the full-time positions, starting with Welfare and Community Officer, Maria Ali, Robin Hayward, Hope Aquilina, Tanya Kashyap, and Dabastrita Mukherjee. For Postgraduate Officer, Ramanjot Kaur, Ritakshi Mahawashari, Chandrasekhar Pitla, Dixon Ovodusi. For the Activities and Employability Officer, Sana Hassan, Bhavna Sharma, Devansh Jamanani, Ahmad Faraz, Sahand Kalafi, and now the International Officer, Saeed Mohammed Hussain, Fahad Rahan, Ravi Karan Rajashekar, Sai, Yansu, Chaitili Mukesh Chavda, Queen Elizabeth Adafigbe, Eamon Day, Geordie Bambuk Pistol, Chitong Liu, Dhruva Parakash Kumar Vala, and now the Education Officer, Jacob Dyke, Yalan Wang, Alex Keane, and Fern Warwick. Now for the Sports Officer, Om Kumar Patil, Lara Parker, and Adam Davies. And finally, for Guild President, Vaishnavi Srivastava, Saeed Kahade Sadath, Herbie Abraham, Queen Chenge, Shawan Sheikh, Sanyam Aurora, Matty Widdop, and Luke Brown. Let's head over to Max, reporting from Underground, where the election results will soon be announced.
Thank you, Maddie. And yes, it is very exciting to be here. Now, the suspense is definitely mounting as we await the unfolding events of election night. Now, I'm joined here by Amira Campbell, who's Guild President for the previous academic year, who's here to chat about her presidency and how she advocates for the student voice. Amira, thank you for coming in.
Hey, thank you
Now,
for having me.
Take me back to this time last year, Guild presidency. How did it feel to win?
I remember being so scared. It's definitely nerve-wracking, particularly for the candidates, but it's so exciting. And, you know, they set things up, make it look all beautiful and stuff. I mean, we're in the Underground this time rather than up in Debating Hall, but the team have done an incredible job to make it look fantastic. And I know that the candidates are going to have an incredible time.
It does look great in here. Now, please take us through how it's been this year as Guild President.
I think it's been a tough year. I mean, lots of really exciting things. I've loved the role, the support that I've got, the training, et cetera, but I think it's been a tough year. We've had conflicts on campus, of course. We've had incredible events put on by so many of our societies. We've had all sorts of things. And I also think higher education right now as a sector it's really going through it. It's been put through its paces. So it's been a thrilling but challenging year to be Guild President.
Well, it seems like you've done very well. Now, in your presidency, you wanted to make the university experience more affordable. Can you maybe take us through how you've gone about achieving this?
I mean, firstly, working as a team. So I'm going to sort of talk about some of the things that our entire team has done in terms of making things more affordable, and then talk about the things that I've done. But I mean, one of the notable things, obviously, our welfare officer, for those of you who know, Community Pantry and Community Pantry Breakfast. So that's a new initiative, the way we got quite a bit of university money to support that, but also making sure that students are eating and able to put food on the table, able to have breakfast before their lectures and things like that. So that's one step towards making things more affordable. Kat, our sports officer, has done incredible things around the Sports Access Fund, making sure that sports is actually accessible, making sure that people can afford to stay fit. One of the main projects that I worked on was within the medical school. So essentially, a lot of our medical students aren't able to access the Chamberlain Award, which is an award that basically allows people, well, it's a cost of living award that exists. And so we managed to secure £1,000 for every single graduate entry year 2, 3 and 4 student who wasn't receiving the Chamberlain Award, and then also for our year 5 NHS bursary students who didn't get that money. So we secured quite a bit of money this year to support students in being able to live and to be able to afford being students. But it's not going to stop here.
No, that is very impressive. There's been a lot going on. And I mean, I do know people who've been using the pantry, and it really has helped a lot of people. Well, thank you very much, Amira, for chatting with us. I'll let you get back to your seat. And while we catch up with Maddie over in the studio.
Now that we've spoken to Amira Campbell about her time as president, let's get Poppy's perspective on this year's new candidates and their plans for the upcoming year and how they've been campaigning. So in keeping with the cost of living crisis, Poppy, how are the current officers championing for student voices?
So Amira and her team have, carried on with and introduced a lot of different measures. So one of those is the Guild Hardship Fund, which is available to students who are experiencing financial difficulty throughout the year, and there's been £10,000 allocated to that. So that's been really great. But a lot of other smaller measures have also been introduced. So having Too Good To Go on campus, having meal deals, keeping the Selly Express available and free are all things that have been really valuable to the students.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do things like this change candidates' approach to campaigning?
Well, with situations like this, they aren't particularly light. If people are struggling with managing their finances, they want to see change and they need to see it quickly. So if people are going to address this, they need to have small measures that they can implement quite quickly. Otherwise, people will probably be a little disappointed.
Yeah. And whose campaigns are you looking out to see the most?
So Robin Hayward, who is running for Welfare and Community Officer, has a really great looking manifesto addressing some of these small changes that could be made. So for example, having some emergency housing available to people who are struggling with finding that, and having a system where we can rank landlords in Selly Oak, so to sort of help out future students who are looking for houses. So things like that are really helpful and can easily be implemented. So I think that's a great place to start, really, when you're trying to appeal to students. But equally, having a guild president that's going to enable officers to sort of implement these measures that they're promising. So I think that's really, really interesting to look at as a part of the picture.
Focusing on things people can really benefit from.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a successful campaign?
I think particularly this year, with the density of applicants, is having clear messaging and being snappy and being, accessible. When people are reading your manifesto, there's a lot to get through, and having something that's memorable is super important. But being available on Instagram, being a face on campus that people recognise, they're all things that are really important to consider when you're running for such a competitive role.
Yeah, well, I think you're onto something there. Thank you so much. We will be continuing to talk to Poppy throughout the night. Up next, the Guild TV team attended the Guild's very own candidate question time, where we found out a bit more about what they were offering in their manifestos.
Question time. You may know it as that TV show on the BBC, where politicians have a go at each other under the thinly veiled guise of discussing the price of cabbages post-Brexit. Here at the Guild, our question time is a little more delicate. We gather together all our candidates to discuss you, the students, and your voice, because as we all know, your voice matters. The evening got off to a cracking start, with vigorous questions levelled at our various hopefuls. Our education officer candidates pledged to continue their relationship between the student representatives and the university, and strategies for the inclusion of LGBTQ+ students. Next up, we had the trans and non-binary officer candidate, who discussed strategies to ensure the safety of trans students on campus. Following that, we had our sports officer candidates, who addressed the issue of inclusivity in sports and the current situation happening at the Metchley sports pitches. The well-natured grilling picked up pace with the welfare and community officers, who talked over policies for tackling the cost of living crisis. After that, we had the disabled students officer candidates, who explained their methods for implementing improvements to the rollout of reasonable adjustment plans. Following close at their heels were the women's officer candidates, who pledged a continuing focus on the inclusion and empowerment of women. After that, we had a break, wherein vast quantities of pizza were consumed. This was not filmed because the cameraman was hungry. A popular post followed next, sustainability officer, an important one especially considering our university's recent uptake in green policies. They discussed environmental threats, hopes, crises, and the little causes the university can commit to combat catastrophic climate change. Then the perennially prized international officers made their way to the stage. They filled the room with their excitement on entering into the post, mediating a fray of questions on the integration of year abroad students, international student events, and thoughts on how best to achieve racial equality. Succeeding this, an ethnic minority students officer candidate made a brief and sound rendition on his pledges to equality in education. Similarly, the postgraduate officer candidates discussed the integration of those among their number, masters and doctorate students. Finally, our presidential candidates closed us off, orating spectacularly on points as diverse as student mental health, staff strike action, and encouraging voter turnout. And with that, the 2024 University of Birmingham Guild of Students Officer Election Question Time came to a triumphant end.
Now that we've heard about the important policies candidates have been discussing behind the scenes, let's check back in with Max in Underground. How's it looking in there?
So people are coming in and they're beginning to take their seats. The atmosphere is starting to get a little bit buzzing now. So from here, I can see family and friends, they're giving their last pep talks, getting excited for the night ahead. But only time will tell what happens when the results land. Now, before we begin, why don't we take another look through our part-time candidates before the announcement is made? Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Max. So starting with women's officer, we have Jayathi Badita, Sarah Griffiths, Mimia Islam, Kesey Prescott, Yasmin Ahmad Baghdadi, Diksha Saini, Deepika Santosh Nurala, Sakshi Golot, Sujana Vijapur, Anushka Mandal, Vrushali Puri. For the trans and non-binary students officer, Abigail Payne. Moving on to the ethnic minority students officer, Sama Adelsuki, Arman Hussain, Lisa Robogo, and Savannah Grantham. For the sustainability officer, we have Rupal Karar, Chavi Kaneja, Fatima Madani, Luke Deary, Suprabha Bhatt, Parth Kudolkar, Rohan Bujbal, Shivam Gupta, Aiza Bello, Jaishila Periyasamy, Noor Chopra, Vaibhav Sharma, Sankalp Singhai, Aditya Rajamahan, Fozan Mohammed, and Max Williams. For the LGBTQ+ students officer, we have Trinity. On to the disabled students officer, Joel Ramsey Johnson, Yanhee Chow, Abby Kenrick, Yusuf Ozdemir, and now for the NUS National Conference delegate, Deepika Santosh Nurula, Alishka Gooch, Aditya Rajamahan, Adwitya Hedge, and Eamon Day. For the NUS Liberation Conference Trans Students delegate, we have Robin Haywood. For the NUS Liberation Conference Black Female Student delegate, Lisa Robogo and Amira Campbell. Now that we've recapped our part-time candidates, let's head over to the main event of the night, the results. Thank you to our guests for chatting to us. We'll be joining you later during the interval. The candidates are ready and waiting, so let's head over to Underground. Hold on, I can take this off, can I?
the world, turning inside out, yeah. I'm floating around in ecstasy, so don't stop me now. Stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time, having a good time. The shooting star leaping through the sky like a tiger, defying the laws of gravity. And we're racing by, passing by like Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, go, go. There's no stopping me. I'm burning through the
Okay. Hello, everyone. We're going to get started. Okay, so hello, everyone. So I'm Amira, and I'm your guild president. On behalf of the officer team, I would like to welcome everyone to the Guild 2024 Officer Elections Results Night. In particular, I would like to welcome all of our candidates standing in the elections. Thank you for putting yourselves forward. I know from personal experience that it can be exciting, but a possibly stressful week. But you're amazing putting yourselves forward for our students. So, can we please give a round of applause for our candidates tonight? So, before we announce these awards, and for all results going forward, I would just like to explain the process. If your name is called out, please come up to the stage via the staircase at the front of the stage. Be careful. Last year, I remember almost tripping over, so keep eyes out. You'll then collect your certificate, or in the case of being elected to an officer position, come to collect further information about the role in one of the envelopes behind me. For those of you who are elected as officers this year, you will have the opportunity to say a few words to the audience, if you'd like to. And then we would ask that you return the way you came and take your seat. In the case that a winning candidate is not with us tonight, but a member of their campaign team is, please speak with a staff member from the Voice Department at the end of the night, and you'll be able to pick up the candidate's certificate and additional information on their behalf. Due to an incredible number of candidates running for some roles, we will only be announcing the final 3 rounds of counting for each role. This may mean that some of you may not hear your final vote count total, but you will be able to view these details on the Guild website in full next week. Unfortunately, a number of candidates have either withdrawn or been disqualified from this election. However, you will still see their images with the presentation. Moving on, we realize that tonight can be a fun but overwhelming experience. Should you need to be in a quiet space, the dance studio will also be staffed throughout the evening by one of our Guild advisors. They'll be on hand if you'd like to take a breath or be provided with further information on the support available to you as a candidate. Candidates should also be aware that Guild TV will be conducting interviews during and following the formal closure of the night, and we really encourage you to get involved. We'll also be hosting a big group photo of all of the winners at the end of the night. The Guild is home to all students, and the elected full-time and part-time officers are critical for creating positive change during their time in the role. This is not only to make the Guild and University a better place, but to make sure students across the University of Birmingham community are heard and supported. We as the Guild could not exist without the input, ideas, and passion which students bring each and every day to campus life. And I'm incredibly excited to see how the successful candidates will be leading the way and empowering the student voice for the next academic year. This brings me to a particularly special place and part of the night, where we say thank you to some very wonderful people for all of their support during elections. I'd like to thank our Student Voice team for their incredible hard work in supporting candidates and putting their all in to make our elections work for you. And many thanks to our communications team for constantly reminding us of the need to vote and what that means to our student body. To our senior management team, who have been incredibly supportive as well behind the scenes, giving us the moral support to keep on going. I'm in trouble for encouraging applauses in between all of these, but our student groups have been amazing in creating election awareness and engaging the wider student body. In particular, we would like to thank Guild TV, Scott Dilson, Jane Baston, Emma Gracie, Sean Freeman, Christine Milburn, Adam Sheridan, and James Lindsay. And finally, a massive thank you to all the students that voted. You've raised your voices, you've made your choices, and you've done your bit to drive change and influence the Guild's priorities for the next year. I can now confirm that the total number of votes for this year's officer team elections was 6,381. And now, I would like to welcome John Elsmore, Director of Student Affairs, to the stage on behalf of the university.
Hello and good evening, everybody. As Amira said, my name is John Elsmore and I'm the Director of Student Affairs here on behalf of the Registrar and Secretary, who's the returning officer for the Guild of Students. This is the second really important event I've already been to this evening. I managed to get into the community iftar that's going on at the moment in the Great Hall. Managed to get there for about half an hour, 45 minutes before coming over here. And if there are people in the room who are celebrating and sharing the holy month of Ramadan, then Ramadan Mubarak to all of you, and you might get a chance to go back and see some more of the community iftar before it finishes. I always enjoy elections night. It is absolutely one of my favourite nights of the year. And this year I was able to indulge my absolute election nerdiness to a new level by being able to see all of the voting statistics being updated every single day. And if you think that the university isn't interested in that, we absolutely are. We pored over all of the results. And I sit at the front here and in our sort of senior management team WhatsApp group, WhatsApping the results back to everybody, because it's really, I genuinely do, really important who we work with and the importance of student officers. The Guild of Students does excellent work to represent the interests of its students from all backgrounds, countries and walks of life. In addition, through the wide variety of services the Guild offers, from student activities and groups, academic representation and Guild advice, the Guild works to benefit all students at the University of Birmingham. And through the strong leadership of its officer team, the Guild has had a big impact to enhance the experience of students who study here this year. So far this year, the Guild officers have worked with the university and lobbied at the university to support students with cost of living pressures, launching the new Sports Hardship Fund and expanding the community pantry and community breakfast schemes. The team have lobbied in Parliament and in meetings with MPs and shadow ministers and local politicians to advocate for students and young people in the run-up to the West Midlands mayoral election and the next general election. The team have introduced new schemes to recognise the fantastic work of student societies and student reps, and have increased the Guild's engagement and provision of support for postgraduate students, and through social events and opportunities for postgraduates and international students, for example, the Language Cafe, which has been huge events this year. The current Guild officer group should be congratulated on their strong leadership of the Guild, and I'm sure that your remaining time of office will be filled with many more achievements. And I wanted to note as well that while we will be saying goodbye to all of the current full officer team in due course, tonight is not the end of their term of office, I did want to make an off-script special nod to both Ben and Alice as departing two-year officers, and for all the contributions that they have made in 2 years supporting students and working with the university. So just for a few official words. Voting in the 2024 University of Birmingham Guild of Students Officer Team elections was held between the 11th of March and 14th of March 2024. As the representative for the Registrar and Secretary, who is the returning officer for the Guild of Students, I can state that the returning officer is satisfied that the Guild officer team elections for 2024 have been run in a free and fair manner. Any complaints regarding the Guild officer team elections 2024 were required to be submitted no later than 2 hours after the close of voting. Following a ruling from the nominated returning officer, if any student wished to make an appeal, they were required to do so within 48 hours of the outcome of the complaint being communicated to them. So please note that all results announced tonight are thereby provisional until the election has been concluded by the returning officer. This will occur after any complaints and appeals have been investigated fully. Results will be confirmed as soon as possible, but not less than 5 working days after the close of ballots. I will hand you back now to Kat. Have a good evening, everybody, and good luck to all the candidates. Kat.
Gosh. Hello. So now it's time for some fun awards. First off, the award we want to give is for the Positive Campaign Award. So this goes to the candidate who has shown great positivity throughout the week to both their fellow candidates, staff, and in conversations with students. So this award goes to Sai Nasakumar. I hope I've said your name right, I'm really sorry. Okay, so next up is the Creative Social Media Award, and this goes to the candidate who has shown the most engaging or overall fun online campaign over the week, and this goes to Abby Kenrick. So the third award is the Outstanding Costume Award. I like to think I would have won this when I campaigned. This award goes to a candidate who created a strong visual identity and style over the week, and this award goes to Luke Deary. And the final award is called the Dedicated Campaigner Award, and this goes to somebody who's engaged with such a range of voters across the week, using different methods, a memorable campaign to keep others engaged, and this goes to Jacob Dyke. So I'd now like to welcome Dean to the stage to present our part-time officers' election results.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dean. I'm the Welfare and Community Officer, well, outgoing Welfare and Community Officer as of now. Now for the moment you've been waiting for, some election results. It's time to announce your your part-time officers. So first we have Women's Officer. I'm going to be announcing the names of all of the candidates. So the candidates in this election are Mimia Islam, Sarah Griffiths, Yasmin Ahmed Baghdadi, Sakshi Galot, Sujana Vijayapur, Deepika Nirula, Rushali Puri, Kiasi Prescott, or reopen nominations. In total, there were 2,335 votes cast in this election, with 8 stages of counting. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. In the 6th stage of counting, Mimia Islam received 613 votes, Sarah Griffiths received 460 votes, Rushali Puri received 414 votes, Yasmin Ahmed Baghdadi received 260 votes. So at the 6th stage of voting, Yasmin Ahmed Baghdadi was excluded with the least amount of votes. At the 7th stage of voting, Rushali Puri was excluded with 420 votes. So in the final round of voting, Mimia Islam received 661 votes, and Sarah Griffiths received 497 votes. I therefore declare that Mimia Islam is duly elected to serve as the Guild of Students Women's Officer for 2024-2025. So please come up to the stage. Okay, well, congratulations to Mimia, wherever she may be. So I'll now move on to the candidates for Trans and Non-Binary Students Officer. The candidates in this election were Abigail Payne or reopen nominations. In total, there were 165 votes cast in this election with one stage of counting. And in the first stage of counting, Abigail Payne received 150 votes, and reopen nominations received 15 votes. So I therefore declare that Abigail Payne is duly elected the Guild of Students Trans and Non-Binary Students Officer for 2024-2025. Well done, Abigail. Round of applause for Abigail. Okay, so next up we have the Ethnic Minority Students Officer. The candidates in this election were Lisa Robogo, Arman Hussein, Sama Eldisuki, or reopen nominations. In total, there were 926 votes cast in this election with 3 stages of counting. In the first stage of counting, Lisa Robogo received 238 votes, Arman Hussein received 439 votes, and Sama El-Lisuki received 231 votes, and reopen nominations received 18 votes. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. At the first round of voting, reopen nominations was excluded. At the second round of voting, Sama El-Lisuki was excluded with 232 votes. In the final round of voting, Lisa Robogo received 274 votes, and Arman Hussein received 462 votes. So I therefore declare that Arman Hussein is duly elected the Guild of Students Ethnic Minority Students Officer for 2024-2025. Well done, Arman. Please come up to the stage. Okay, congratulations, Arman. With that kind of section out of the way, our part-time officers, I'd now like to welcome Joe to come to the stage to announce the next round of results.
Oh, fantastic. All right, thank you for being here, everyone. I don't have my glasses, so if I misspeak, I do very much apologise. Thank you very much, Dean. The fourth part-time officer position to be announced will be the Sustainability Students Officer. The candidates in this election are Max Williams, Sankalp Singhai, Fatima Mandi, Rupal Karar, Charvi Kaneja, Rohan Bhujpal, Fuzan Mohammed, Luke Deary, Jaishila Periyasamy, Aditya Rajamohan, Vaihab Sharma, Parth Kudakar, Suprabha Bhatt, Isa Bello, Shivama Gupta, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 3,899 votes cast in this election, with 14 stages of counting. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. In the 13th stage of counting, Max Williams received 1,018 votes. Fatima Mandi received 778 votes. Luke Deary received 562 votes. and Vaibhav Sharma received 374 votes. At the 13th round of voting, Vaibhav Sharma was excluded with 374 votes. At the 14th round of voting, Luke Deary was excluded with 568 votes. In the final round of voting, Max Williams received 1,101 votes. Fatima Mandi received 826 votes. I therefore declare that Max Williams is duly elected the Guild of Students Sustainability Officer for 2024-25.
Oh, you're going to hate me now. That's me. I've written some notes on the back of my campaign leaflet, which I think is quite fitting. But I just want to say a huge thanks to my campaign team, Cameron, Tilly, Naomi, Rob, and Maisie, for reassuring me that what I'm doing is okay. I want to thank my supportive girlfriend, Orla, who has dealt with a lot of stuff this week with me coming home on very late nights. I want to thank my housemates for letting me take over the kitchen on multiple days for me to paint my banners. I didn't cause any damage to the kitchen table, so it's okay. I want to thank my competitors for keeping me on my toes and reminding me that I do actually have to put effort into this election. And also the amazing candidates in all the other categories as well who have been really supportive. I want to thank the Student Voice team for answering my constant flood of questions. Jane, I'm so sorry. I think at the end of every event I come up with, Jane, I've just got a question. I think she got fed up of me, but now you've got a whole year of me, yay. And finally, I want to thank everyone who voted for me. I couldn't have done it without you, and I can't wait to enact change at the Guild. Thank you.
A couple of bits for you. And anyone already announced who doesn't have their goodies will be able to get them in due course, I think. Congratulations. The next part-time officer position to be announced this evening will be the LGBTQ+ Students Officer. The candidates in this election are Trinity Barson and reopened nominations. In total, there were 691 votes cast in this election, with one stage of counting. In the first stage of counting, Trinity Barson received 647 votes. Reopened nominations received 4 votes. I therefore declare that Trinity Barson is duly elected the Guild of Students LGBTQ+ Students Officer for 2024-25. And I would like to welcome Trinity to the stage to say a few words, but they aren't here with us tonight. So big congratulations to Trinity.
Thank you.
Finally, the last part-time officer position to be announced this evening will be the Disabled Students Officer. The candidates in this election are Yusuf Ozdemir, Abby Kenrick, and reopened nominations. In total, there were 320 votes cast in this election, with one stage of counting. The first stage of counting, Yusuf Ozdemir received 33 votes. Abby Kenrick received 320 votes. Reopened nominations received 3 votes. I therefore declare that Abby Kenrick is duly elected the Guild of Students Disabled Students Officer for 2024-25.
Hi everyone, hi mum who's watching at home. I want to thank everyone who voted for me. I'm really going to fight for you. I want to thank the candidates that collaborated with me and the ones who didn't, because everyone was just so friendly and supportive, and I'm really excited for the team that we have next year. So yeah, thank you.
Congratulations to all our new part-time officers for the year 2024-25. Can I now ask Ben to come to the stage to announce the NUS delegate places?
Thanks, Joe. Now we have the results of the NUS conference delegates. The candidates in this election are Alicia Gooch, Amina D, Deepika Santosh Nirula, Adiata Ramajoan, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 2,908 votes cast in this election, with 3 stages of counting. In the first stage of counting, Elisha Gooch received 1,166 votes, Ayman D received 225 votes, Deepika Santosh Nirula received 552 votes, and Ariata Ramajohan received 534 votes. And reopen nominations received 133 votes. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. At the first round of voting, reopen nominations was excluded with 133 votes. At the second round of voting, Ayman Adi was excluded with 225 votes. And in the final round of voting, Elisha Gooch received 1,192 votes, Deepika Santosh Nirula received 566 votes, and Ariata Ramajohan received 553 votes. I therefore declare that Elisha Gooch is duly elected the Guild of Students NUS National Conference Delegate for this coming conference in April. I'd like to welcome Elisha to the stage if they're here to say a few words. Thank you and congratulations. Now we'll move on to the NUS Liberation Conference Delegate for the trans student place. The next position is to represent trans students at the coming NUS conference in April. The candidates in this election are Robin Haywood and reopen nominations. In total, there were 98 votes cast in this election with 1 stage of counting. In the first stage of counting, Robin Haywood received 87 votes and reopen nominations received 11 votes. I therefore declare that Robin Haywood is duly elected the Guild of Students NUS Liberation Conference Trans Delegate Place for this coming conference in April, and I'd like to welcome Robin to the stage. Oh, okay. Please be careful on the stairs. Brilliant. We'll now move on to the NUS Liberation Conference delegate for the Black Student Place. The candidates in this election are Lisa Robogo, Amira Campbell, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 400 votes cast in this election, with 1 stage of counting. In the first stage of counting, Lisa Robogo received 148 votes. Amira Campbell received 248 votes, and reopen nominations received 4 votes. I therefore declare that Amira Campbell is duly elected the Guild of Students NUS Liberation Conference Delegate for the Black Student Place. And I'd like to welcome Amira to the stage and say a few words. We better get a picture. We're now going to move on to the full-time officer election results, and I'd like to welcome Dean back to the stage to announce those. Just a break. Oh, apologies. We're going to have a break now, and then we're going to move on to the full-time officer election results after that. Thank you, everybody.
Everyone, just to let you know that we have food at the back of the room, so if anyone wants to have a little munch.
Seems to rise when I gave
Welcome back. Whilst we wait to hear who our victorious candidates are, why don't we delve into the results so far, as Poppy can give us some expert analysis. Can you provide an overview of any major themes that have emerged during the course of the election?
So there's been a real focus on transparency and accountability throughout the election, making promises that people follow through with, and also, making sure that students understand what they're voting for if their opinions are asked on things. Equally, streamlining guild services has been something that's come up quite a lot because, UAB does have a lot of good resources, but people just don't sometimes know how to access them. So that's been something that's come up quite a few times.
Okay, and what role did campaign strategies play in the shaping of election results?
So being accessible was really important. In order to make the changes that students want, that you have to be able to hear the student voices. And so I know that people having, a good social media presence and being out on campus is something that's been really important.
Okay, and you talked a little bit about social media. How do you think it can be used to impact the election results?
So Instagram has always been a popular platform to be used. I know a lot of people have that to reach out to people to get consensus. But equally this year we have seen TikTok being used by Queen Chenge, who is running for president. So that's been interesting, and I wonder if in a few years' time we'll see more people using that.
Yeah, okay. And this year some campaigns have taken place near the library and the Bournebrook area. Can you explain the importance of location and gaining attention when you're campaigning?
Well, I think it really comes down to understanding your electorate. Students, we're always in the library, we're always in these places on campus. And, being there and being that familiar face and, hearing if people want to talk to you, hearing what they have to say and all of that sort of thing is really important in just being that memorable face when it comes to picking, a name out of a list of potentially 16 candidates.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And why do you think there's been such an increased influx of candidates this year compared to the last few years?
I think this is a really difficult one. My best guess would probably be it's post-COVID, maybe that we've really got through that and more people are on campus, and potentially the more people that are on campus, the more chances people are going to have to think, oh, I don't quite like that system, or that's a problem that I could fix, and then would potentially run in the next election. Equally, in sort of current affairs, we've seen Just Stop Oil and we've seen things like Extinction Rebellion protests. So I would assume that that's sort of why we've got such a rise in the sustainability officer applications. So, it's a complicated one, but that would be my best guess.
And people are feeling inspired to get involved. So a recurring theme, particularly with sports officers, is to dress up in a costume or pick an animal to associate themselves with. I know this year we've got Adam the alpaca. What impact do you think this has on voters?
Well, it's a very memorable thing to do. It's a quick way to stay in people's heads. But also, sports is meant to be fun. It's something a lot of us do for fun, to take our mind off studying whilst we're at university. So I think that really captures that sort of element of it.
And do you believe what do you believe were the significant topics within candidate campaigns that resonated with voters?
So we've already addressed quite a few of these, but something that we haven't talked about is cross-society cooperation, which has come up to be quite popular. I think a lot of students have said, that they would love the opportunity to, connect with other groups and societies on campus that have similar interests and have maybe play similar sports. And so having the facilities to be able to do that would be great. I know that a few people running have talked about doing that through cultural societies or through green societies. So I think that is something that students would like to see actually change, and I think that the officers running have heard that.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your insight, Poppy. It's clear that the next candidates for 2025 have quite a lot to live up to. So watch this space, I suppose. Let's head back to Max now in Underground, who is joined by our current welfare officer.
Thank you, Maddie. Now, I'm currently joined with Dean, our current welfare officer. We are delighted to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining. Now, take me back to this time last year. What was it like to win?
It was exhilarating, actually. It was a really, really good experience. I think me winning, my experience was a little bit different. I was actually uncontested, so it's a very big contrast to this election where we have a huge range of really good candidates. So, yeah.
Well, still very deserved. Yes. Now, this has been quite a large topic of this election and the previous election. How have you helped to alleviate a lot of student financial concerns?
So I think the main thing that I've done this year has been the Community Breakfast Initiative. This was initially set up in November. It's a fairly basic kind of thing. If you had like free breakfast at school, it's a very similar idea. You can just come to the Mermaid Bar in the Guild from 8 to 10 a.m. and access a completely free continental style breakfast. And this has been really, really well attended by students. It's also kind of branched out into a whole kind of community mental health space as well. So it's been really, really positive, and that's something that I'm personally very proud of doing this year.
Yeah, it is very impressive. As a student myself, we have all experienced these financial concerns, so it is great. Now, why do you think it's important that these universities have these support systems in place, just like the Guild?
Yeah. Well, I think if you're a university and you want people to, obviously come here to study, and you need to look after people so that they're actually able to study, right? This is one of the main things that comes up time and time again, especially in the cost of living crisis. As financial pressures rise, students are no longer able to actually focus on their studies. So as a higher education institution that prides itself on providing that kind of civic engagement and education, you need to actually make it able so students can do that. And I think it's just the morally right thing to do as well.
Of course. Now, do you have any advice that you would pass on to the next candidate?
Any advice? I think the main thing would be, be nice to people and kind of maintain good relationships with all of your stakeholders, from the Guild to the university. People, they kind of make change, and collaborating with different people is definitely how I've got a lot of projects further that I've been working on. So definitely stakeholder management, be nice to people, have good relationships with other people. Yeah, that's the main thing.
Be nice to people. I feel like that's good advice for literally any career. Now, before you go, I have to ask, did you have any, do you see any candidates that really piqued your interest for welfare this year?
I will say one piqued my interest, definitely Robin. They've done outstanding work as the trans students officer for 3 years now. So it was really, really exciting when I found out that they were running for welfare officer. I think passing the torch to them will be, very, very good for me. Best of luck to them.
Perfect. Well, I will definitely keep my eye out for Robin. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'll allow you to get back to your seat and enjoy the rest of elections. Now, we're going to head back to Maddie in the studio.
It's great to hear from officers both past and present. In light of this, we are now joined with one of the former presidents, Mikey Brown, who is here to talk about what makes a successful campaign. Mikey, thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure.
So you were Guild president for the 2021 to 2022 academic year. What obstacles did COVID present in your presidency, and how did you try to overcome them?
Well, COVID, impacted all facets of society really, and students, I think, were really up against it. Not knowing what's going on in terms of their academic work, their social life had been completely uprooted. So a lot of challenges, and campaigning in that sort of situation, you had to be very creative about it, how you could reach people, what was possible within the restrictions. And part of what I wanted to do was make sure we could bounce back from that really as strongly as we can, and try and get some of the life back on campus as soon as we were able to.
Okay, interesting. And in what ways did the pandemic change the face of campaigning in general?
So my campaign, for example, was done entirely online. I couldn't meet a single voter in person, and that, it required us to think really creatively about, okay, what platforms are the best way of reaching people, what sort of tone of messaging is really important, and ultimately, like all campaigning, it's about, what are the issues that really matter in that moment.
Okay, and what do you think made your campaign so successful?
It's a hard one to say, but I think, it was about really understanding what the challenges were for students in that moment. We've been through a pandemic. People were really not sure that they were going to graduate, making sure that people could go into the next year with some security, that they had an office team really fighting for them to make sure they weren't going to be impacted by the pandemic in terms of their studies. Really someone who was going to try and open up the Guild a bit and be a bit more present, a bit more transparent. I think that's it's been a big theme in this campaign, and it's something that I tried my hardest to do throughout my campaign.
Yeah, and put people at ease, I suppose. So when dealing with a crisis, whether that be COVID-19 or the cost of living, how do you think officers can be there for students in those really tough times?
I think these things are really difficult. I think it's about understanding what students want, and I think for me, uncertainty plays a really big role in a lot of the anxiety that people feel. If people can't see that you're on their side, I think that could be really hard for folks. So firstly, making sure that you understand the issue by talking to folks, figuring out what's sort of really the issue, making sure that they know that you're going to be an advocate for them. That's super important. There is only so much you can do. The cost of living crisis is a national, global phenomenon. So thinking creatively about, okay, what resources have we got that we could put to people? What's the art of the possible, really? What can we do? What can I do in my position? That's the really important thing.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah. And are there any campaigns for this electoral season that have stuck out to you?
So there's been a few. I think it's really great to see Robin running for Welfare and Community Officer after 3 great years as trans and non-binary students. Also, they've represented folks really tirelessly throughout that period, and we've seen some real focus on sustainability. Look at the amount of candidates we have for the sustainability officer. That really it speaks of I think, and perhaps the university has got more to do in that area, and that's an area where we really need to be moving in the right direction and focusing on how we can have an impact and how we can better be in line with what students are really feeling about that issue in the moment.
Absolutely. How important do you think that honesty and transparency and accountability are, considering that you've mentioned this, they're coming up quite a lot, particularly in this election?
Yeah, look, I think it is. I think what sort of root of all those issues is trust. And I think if I'm speaking freely, trust is a really scarce commodity sometimes. There are things that happen in events and they're really difficult to do with. They can erode trust, and it's about how can we reach out to students and know that as officers, people that are elected by them, that you can trust them to deliver on their promises, trust them to have students' interests at heart. Those are the really important things. And you can't fake that, really. I think voters can see through that.
Yeah. And how are you feeling about the elections tonight?
Yeah, really exciting to be here. I think it's been great, as a feature of this election, to see so many international students involved. That's been a real key feature of it. So I think it's great that the Guild has been able to really engage those peoples in democracy, and it's great to see that the students really have that ethos of wanting to represent students and help others and really improve the experience that we have.
And what are you looking forward to most tonight?
Well, I'm looking forward to see who's going to be leading our Guild in the year that's we're going to have. I mean, I'm here doing my PhD for another 3 years. The Guild really is at the forefront of student life and about driving the student experience forward. And I want to see as much as you guys do who's going to be leading that.
Yeah, in the front row seat. So based on your experience as president, what do you think the newly elected president should work towards to shape the future of the Guild?
Yeah, look, I guess there's a couple of issues that are really important. Cost of living is a really important issue. So we've had great work from successive teams on community pantry, on community breakfast. So how can we scale up? How can we do more? How can we get the university to put their hand in their back pocket and give us some more money so that we can do things to really support students? But also I think there's stuff that the Guild needs to be doing. How can we make life easier for societies? How can we make societies more able to cooperate with each other? How can we take away some of the bureaucracy that makes things hard to do? How can we really support the things that makes our campus a vibrant, thriving hub of community and culture? Those are the things that I think are really important right now.
Yeah, and really thinking of campus as a whole community.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your answers. As we gear up to watch the second half of the results, we'll let you take your seat. We are joined by a third-year student, Bella Ashley, who is representing the student cohort. Welcome back. We are joined by third-year student Bella Ashley, who is representing the student cohort and giving her opinion on the elections. Thank you for joining us, Bella. So what do you think of the support provided by the Guild in the cost of living crisis?
Yeah, so I think the main things that I know about are the period products, the free period products, which are really, really good, and as well the community pantry, because I know obviously it's a hard thing for people to access is like free food, and how you market that to people is also quite difficult, because people don't want to be like they're pitied, or they don't want to take food and think that other people aren't getting it. So I think that's a really good initiative that they've come up with, where it's not focused on like a food bank. It's not like, oh, you've not got enough money, here's some food for free. It's more of like a community project thing, and like you can share breakfast together, which I think is really good.
Yeah, making people feel welcome.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Get involved. Okay, what other ways do you think the Guild can help its current students?
So I think just like increased support. I think there is so much support out there, which I know has been brought up quite a lot in the elections, about how much support there is across the Guild and the university. But a lot of people just don't know about it, or they don't know where to go. So I think marketing and like signposting people to the right places is definitely a way to go, so that people can access the support that's already there.
And do you feel like there's been a manifesto that has really stood out to you in these elections?
Yeah, actually, I think Lara Parker, one of the sports officers, her manifesto really stood out to me, because it was really clear. Like I knew what she wanted to do, and the fact that she wanted to work alongside the disability officer as well in order to increase accessibility for sports. And I think it was clear that she knew how the Guild worked, and that there are, obviously in a manifesto you could be as bold as you wanted to be. Like you could say, I want to do this, this and this. But I think the fact that hers was very grounded and it was very reasonable and realistic, I think is very good.
And what other student-related issues would you like to see addressed in the future?
I think more financial things. Obviously the cost of living crisis is ongoing, and it's a really hard thing to deal with, and it's how do you actually tackle that, and how do you help people with it. But I think more financial based systems, I don't know, maybe like people being shown how to like pay bills and stuff like that, or like just how to deal with finances. I think that'd be a good thing for a lot of students, because it's a very difficult thing, like student loans and obviously the cost of living crisis. So,
yeah, and it's something you're faced with all of a sudden,
yeah,
I suppose,
definitely.
when you leave uni. Yeah. Have you seen any changes in the Guild since your first year?
Definitely. I think in my first year I didn't really know much about it, but as I became more involved, and as I saw a lot more from the Guild, I think there's a lot more positive changes coming about, and I think it's trying to be more accessible, which is always a good thing, trying to be more inclusive, and I think just like Joe's, for example, like some of the stuff there has changed like for the better, and they've got better deals on to attract more people, and like the security stuff has changed for the better as well, I think.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Have you watched the elections before, or have you ever been involved or wanted to get involved?
No, like this is probably, I think I voted in first and second year, but I'd never like watched it or anything. I think this year I've been more involved and more interested. I don't know if there was just more like me campaigning about it. But yeah, I've never really been involved until like this year.
Okay, and you've touched on it a little bit already, but what do you think students out there really want most from the Guild?
I think they just want support, and they want to know that it's for them and it has their interest at heart, which it does, but I think sometimes that gets lost. But yeah, definitely I think that's what people want to know, is that the Guild has lots of materials and stuff, and it is for students.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for coming to talk to us. It's great to have some student insight. Now, let's have a look at how Alice and Kat, our current international and sports officers, have been tackling the cost of living crisis this year.
With Campus League, I think its major USP is that it's for everyone. Sport is such a good way to bring around community, make friendships, and well, obviously you're just getting active. And I think Campus League is that one where it does all of that. It gets you active. It's at such a reduced cost compared to how much it would be to take part in a club. One other thing that's been really, really progress this year, and props to the uni sport team who've been working on it, is the Active Residence Programme. So this is brought in for those in uni accommodation, ideally in first year, and it's basically free social sport. So they do so many different sessions a week. Definitely go into the website and check it out. In terms of sustainability and sport, not many people think it goes hand in hand, but it really does. I ran a kit swap and equipment swap for those people could bring in old kit and equipment they don't use, and then they could come and pick up some new to them at least, stuff that other people had handed in. In terms of other initiatives we've brought in, we've got so many great societies that work really, really on sustainability, like Hooks and Stitches, Craft Society, who run like mending workshops. In terms of feedback and the impact of the fund, it is those hard-hitting facts that it's like, I wasn't able to do this, but now I am. Obviously, that's a piece that's quite a big task to get in, especially with only one round being given out just before Christmas. So, but the initial reaction to the fund being brought out was, this is amazing. I don't want it to be 1 year and then it disappears. I want it to be here for the long term, so we need to get those stories in.
I'd like to say that because of the visa requirement of Home Office, there is tend to be a requirement saying you have to have certain amount of money in your bank account that shows that you can afford your study and living here. Traditionally, there wasn't any support for international students on a student visa, but through lots of campaigns, discussions, we successfully convinced university and also the Guild to offer all the equal support to the international students. I think that's really impressive. The incentive behind the Language Cafe is that when I was in my master's year, I joined an activity held by university in UOB Festival in January, if you remember. That was a language exchange activity, and we were all wearing the labels of the languages you speak. And I was wearing, obviously, the labels of Mandarin, Portuguese, English, and French. I met lots of language speakers there, but I couldn't find anyone who speaks Portuguese, and then suddenly I met someone with the same label, Portuguese, and we just suddenly hugged each other. I felt that's a really good activity that could encourage friendship, and the experience is amazing because I met lots of amazing people who speak multiple languages.
Sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Grasping to control, so I better hold on. Sometimes I give myself the creeps.
Hello and welcome back. Poppy is now going to talk to us about our new women's officer, Mimia Islam.
So having a look through her manifesto, she really talks about some of the problems that we have, not necessarily overt misogyny, but the underhand issues that are at play. And I think it was really nice to read something that resonated clearly with a lot of people, addressing things that aren't necessarily seen as big problems, but when they play into people's lives all the time, it has quite a big impact on it. So I think it'll be really interesting to see the sort of changes that Mimia implements in her time in this role.
Yeah, and was that, do you think, the strongest part of her manifesto?
Yeah, I definitely think it resonated with a lot of people. I mean, she makes a very good point in her manifesto talking about scrubs for doctors and how they're tailored for men. And how, despite that, I think she says 70% of her cohort is actually women. And, it's not a big problem per se, but it is something that does impact clearly a lot of women and is something that she can, we can fix, we can alter. And it just is a great example of things that are sort of set out. The norm is, focused on men, and it doesn't have to be. That doesn't have to be the way it is going forward. And I think that she does a really good job of capturing that sort of energy, which I think is why she's probably done so well in this election.
And what are you looking forward to with Mimia as the women's officer?
Well, it will just be really seeing how she sort of enacts that change. She hasn't necessarily made any real clear points of, I'm going to do this immediately. So it'll be really interesting to see how she captures this momentum and this support. And equally, I think it's been really interesting looking at other people who are running for both part-time and full-time positions, talking about, okay, like I would like to work with this officer and to do this and this officer to do that. And I know that it's that sort of cooperation that will make the biggest change. And so I think it would be really nice to see in her sort of time in this role, whether she'll be able to interact with these other officers and really strive to make the biggest change possible.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Poppy. Well, congratulations to all those candidates that have won so far. Having seen the work of our full-time candidates have done this year, let's take one final review of the candidates for the full-time roles before they announce the successful candidates. For the Welfare and Community Officer, we have Maria Ali, Robin Hayward, Hope Aquilina, and Tanya Kashyap. Debastrita Mukherjee. For the Postgraduate Officer, Ramanjot Kaur, Ritakshi Maheshwari, Chandra Shekhar Pitla, Dixon Afoduzi. For the Activities and Employability Officer, Sana Hassan, Bhavna Sharma, Devansh Jamani, and Ahmad Faraz, and Sahand Khalafi. For the International Officer, Saeed Mohammed Hussain, Fahad Rahan, Ravi Karan Rajashekar, Sai, Yan So, Chaitali Mukesh Chavda, Queen Elizabeth Adefigbe, Eamon Day, Geordie Bumbuk Pistol, Chitong Liu, Dhruva Prakashuka Vala. For the Education Officer, Jacob Dyke, Yalan Wang, Alex Keane, Fern Warwick. For the Sports Officer, Om Kumar Patil, Lara Parker, Adam Davies, and finally running for Guild President, Vaishnavi Srivastava, Syed Kahad Siddharth, Herbie Abraham, Queen Chenge, Shawan Sheikh, Sanyam Arora, Matty Widdop, and Luke Brown. Now that the break is over, let's head back to Underground where the next round of results will be taking place.
Forever never seems that long until you're grown and notice that the day-by-day ruler may be too long. Miss Jackson, my intentions were good. I wish I could become a magician to abracadabra all the sadder. Thoughts of me, thoughts of she, thoughts of he, asking what happened to the feeling that her and me had. I pray so much about it, need some knee pads. It happened for a reason, one can't be mad. So know this, know that everything's cool. And yes, I will be present on the first day of school and graduation. Sorry, Miss Jackson.
nickel and I'm out. I'm talking about jealousy, infidelity, envy, cheating, beating, Indian to the G, they be the same thing. So who you placing the blame on? You keep on singing that same song. Let bygones be bygones. You can go and get the hell on you and your mom. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
I need a script. Hello everyone. We're almost ready for the full-time officer results. If you'd like to take your seats, please, and thank you. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to the second part of the elections evening, where we'll be announcing the full-time officer results. So let's get started with the first of our full-time officer roles, the Welfare and Community Officer. The candidates in this election are Robin Hayward, Hope Aquilina, Maria Ali, Tanya Kashyap, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 3,526 votes cast in this election, with 4 stages of counting. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. In the second stage of counting, Robin Hayward received 583 votes, Hope Aquilina received 1,049 votes, Maria Ali received 908 votes, and Tanya Kashyap received 621 votes. At the second round of voting, Robin Hayward was excluded with 583 votes. At the third round of voting, Tanya Kashyap was excluded with 644 votes. In the final round of voting, Hope Aquilina received 1,238 votes. Maria Ali received 1,011 votes. I therefore declare that Hope Aquilina was elected the Guild of Students Welfare and Community Officer for 2024-2025. Well done.
Hiya everyone. I just want to say a few words while I'm up here. Thank you very much to everyone who supported me throughout the last couple of days and the last couple of weeks as well. My campaign team, my housemates, my friends, and of course everyone who voted. I'm really excited to take on this role and support students across the university. And I also want to congratulate all the other candidates for all the hard work that they've put in. So well done everyone.
Round of applause for Hope. Okay, and now over to Ben, who will be announcing the next result.
Thank you, Dean. The next full-time officer position to be announced will be the postgraduate officer, my own role. Hey. The candidates in this election are Rishtishki Maharashwi, Chandra Pitala, thank you, Dixon Ofi Doozy, Ramanjot Kaur, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 3,105 votes cast in this election, with 4 stages of counting. At each round of counting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. In the second stage of counting, Richashki Maureshwari received 1,102 votes, Chandra Pitali received 284 votes, and Dixon Ofi Doozy received 790 votes, and Ramanjot Kaur received 775 votes. At the second round of voting, Chandra Pitali was excluded with 284 votes. At the third round of voting, Ramanjot Kaur was excluded with 787 votes. In the final round of voting, Rishtashki Mashashwari received 1,206 votes, while Dixon Ofi Doozy received 837 votes. I therefore declare that Rishtashki Marashwari is duly elected the Guild of Students Postgraduate Officer for 2024-25. I'd like to welcome Ritesh to the stage to say a few words. Congratulations. We're now going to move on to the Activities and Employability Officer role, and I'd like to welcome Dean back to the stage to announce that.
Hello again. Thank you, Ben. The next full-time officer position to be announced will be the Activities and Employability Officer. The candidates in this selection are Sahand Kalafi, Bhavna Sharma, Devansh Jamani, Ahmed Faraz, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 3,553 votes cast in this election, with 4 stages of counting. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. In the second stage of counting, Sahand Kalafi received 238 votes, Bhavna Sharma received 824 votes, Devansh Jamnani received 872 votes, and Aman Faraz received 480 votes. So at the second round of voting, Sahand Kalafi was excluded with 238 votes. At the third round of voting, Ahmad Faraz was excluded with 504 votes. So in the final round of voting, Bhavna Sharma received 899 votes, and Devansh Jamani received 931 votes. So I therefore declare that Devansh Jamnani is duly elected for the Guild of Students Activities and Employability Officer for 2024-2025. Come on up, Devansh. Well done. Okay, next up, Ben will be announcing the candidates for International Officer. Come on up to the stage, Ben.
Thank you, Dean, again. I'm excited to be announcing the results of the international officer role. The candidates in this election are Ravinkaran Rashika, Farhad Rihan, Syed Mohammed Hussain, Sai Neeraj Kumar, Chatali Mushkesh Shava, Amini D, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 3,824 votes cast in this election, with 6 rounds of voting. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. In the 4th round of voting, Rashid Khan Rashikar received 662 votes, Farhad Rihan received 317 votes, Syed Mohammed Hussain received 484 votes, and Sai Neeraj Kumar received 511 votes. At the 4th stage of voting, Farhad Rihan was excluded with 317 votes. At the 5th round of voting, Syed Mohammed Hussain was excluded with 525 votes. And in the final round of voting, Ravikara Rashika received 691 votes and Sai Neeraj Kumar received 588 votes. I therefore declare that Ravikant Rashika is duly elected the Guild of Students International Officer for 2024-25. Congratulations. I'd like to welcome Ravikant to the stage to say a few words. Thank you.
First of all, I need to thank my girl there. She supported me so much. And thanks for everyone who supported me. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Congratulations. I'll now hand back to Joe for the Education Officer result.
Thank you very much, Ben. The next full-time officer position to be announced will, of course, be the Education Officer. The candidates in this election are Alex Keane, Fern Warwick, Jacob Dyke, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 3,940 votes cast in this election, with 1 stage of counting. In the first stage of counting, Alex Keane received 1,874 votes, Fern Warwick received 606 votes, Jacob Dyke received 1,029 votes, and reopen nominations received 76 votes. I therefore declare that Alex Keane is duly elected as the Guild of Students Education Officer for the year 2024-25.
Hi everyone. Thank you to everyone that voted. I'd just like to thank quickly my housemates, Alexi, Sol and Georgia, for all their help with my campaigning over the last couple of weeks, as well as my girlfriend Leah, who's been on placement, so hasn't been around, but I'd like to thank her for her support from wherever she is in Shropshire. So thank you very much, and thank you to the candidates for campaigning so hard and keeping me on my toes. So thank you very much, and I look forward to getting to work.
Kat, can you come to the stage to announce our winner for Sports Officer?
Right. Oh, didn't turn the page for me, Joe. Gosh. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm now going to move on to the Sports Officer result. And the candidates in this elections were Adam Davies, Lara Parker, and Onkumar Patel, and reopen nominations. So, in total, there were 3,753 votes cast in this election, with 3 rounds of counting. And in the first stage of counting, Adam Davies received 1,209 votes, Lara Parker received 1,776 votes, and Kumar Patel received 704 votes, and then reopened nominations received 64 votes. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes will be eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. So at the first stage of voting, reopened nominations was excluded with 64 votes. At the second round of voting, Kumar Patel was excluded with 705 votes. And then in the final round of voting, Adam Davies received 1,260 votes, and Lara Parker received 1,829 votes. I therefore declare Lara Parker as duly elected as Guild of Students Sports Officer for 2024-25. Lara Parker, please come to the stage. Okay, Amira, would you please like to come to the stage to present Guild President?
We have reached the final officer position to be announced this evening, which is, of course, Guild President. The candidates in this election are Matty Widdop, Herbie Abraham, Sanyam Arora, Saeed Khadr Sadaf, Queen Chenge, Vaishnavi Shrivastava, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 4,451 votes cast in this election, with 6 stages of counting. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. In the 4th round of counting, Matty Widdop received 853 votes. Herbie Abraham received 665 votes. Saeed Khadr Sadaf received 911 votes. Queen Chenge received 732 votes. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. At the 4th stage of voting, Herbie Abraham was excluded with 665 votes. At the 5th stage of voting, Queen Chenge was excluded with 796 votes. In the final round of voting, Matty Widdop received 1,002 votes. Saeed Khadr Sadaf received 1,006 votes. I therefore declare that Saeed Khadr Sadaf is duly elected the Guild of Students President for 2024 to 25. Well done. I'd like to welcome Saeed to the stage to say a few words. Okay. Can we please put our hands together for Saeed? Okay. Well, that concludes the announcement of the results for the 2024 Guild Officer Team elections. Can we please give a warm round of applause to all the candidates for their hard work campaigning over the last 4 days? Congratulations to all of the winning candidates. On behalf of the current Guild Officer team, I wish you all the best for a successful and fun year ahead. Could all of the officers-elect please approach the stage for a group photograph? Guild TV would also like to interview you, so please stick about. Thank you all for coming along tonight. Have a safe journey home. We'll see you next year.
about it. Sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Am I just stuck? I went to a shrink to analyze my dreams. She says it's like a sex that's bringing me down. I went to a whore. He said my life's a bore. Choke with my broken goods, it's bringing me down. Sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Grasping to control, so I better hold on. Sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Am I just
At last, the wait is finally over. Congratulations to the chosen officers who will be leading the Guild in the upcoming academic year of 2024. In the last few moments of the night, Poppy and I will be breaking down the final results. So, Poppy, what are your thoughts about this evening?
Well, it's great to finally have our results. Everyone should be really proud of themselves. They worked very hard campaigning, and not just them, you know, their teams, their friends. They all did a really good job, so they should be very proud of themselves. And it would just be interesting to see, you know, we know who's going to be in these positions now for the next year, and to see, you know, the practical changes that, you know, have been promised, whether they'll be implemented. It's just a very exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Poppy said, congratulations to every single candidate that was here tonight. So did you have any manifestos that really stuck out to you?
So one manifesto that I was really impressed with was Herbie Abraham's, who was running for Guild President. I thought he had a really clear, snappy manifesto. He broke it down into SAME, which stood for Societies, Accountability, Mental Health and Empowerment. And it was really nice because he had these overarching sort of like values and aims, but he really broke it down and explained practically, okay, what am I going to do to get there? How is this going to be sort of played out on the ground? And I thought that was really nice, and it's a really easy read. Also, he really stressed cooperation with other officers and cooperation between societies, which were two themes that we really, you know, talked about this evening. So I really liked that manifesto sort of as a constructed piece. Looking at our part-time officers, the manifesto that stuck out to me there was Robin Hayward's, who was going for welfare and community. Again, practical sort of suggestions and solutions to problems that affect a lot of students, housing, community pantry, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So not necessarily overhauling things, but continuing stuff that we've had before.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay,
yeah.
so, well, I'm now joined with Abby Kenrick, who is the winner of the Disabled Student Officer position. Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry, I'm with the wrong... Oh, I'm not with them. I'm with Hope. Welcome, Hope.
Thank you very
How
much.
are you feeling?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah?
I'm still coming down from the initial sort of excitement of all of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy to be here.
Oh, well, no, it's lovely to have you. What do you believe were some of the key factors in your manifesto that helped contribute towards your success?
I think really I tried to make my manifesto as clear as possible to students. I mean, I can't promise everything, I can't change everything, but there are steps that we can take as a guild and as a university to try and improve the situation of students regarding safety and housing. So she said I was trying to build on what the guild's already doing, and hopefully that, you know, that stood out to students, that they are achievable aims and things that can be changed that should hopefully improve everyone's experience.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to see you in this role.
Thank
what was
you.
your motivation for running?
So I've been working as welfare officer for my society. I'm part of the English Language Society, and I've been welfare officer now since September, and that's really sort of opened my eyes to the issues that students are facing, and it's something that I'm really interested in looking at further. I've connected with quite a lot of people, spoken to lots of people and heard the issues that are the most important. So I'm looking forward to helping to change that, hopefully.
Yeah, and how was the whole campaign process?
Yeah, it was really good fun. I really enjoyed it. It was nice to chat to people, get out, just interact with everyone, really.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And what's something that the previous officer's done that you'd really like to continue with?
Again, I'd really like to continue the community pantry work that's being done. I think that's an excellent idea, and sort of expanding on that as well, especially with the cost of living situation, and all the sort of areas that the welfare and community officer has already implemented. I'd like to continue those and develop them as much as I can, maybe expanding them to a slightly wider audience, and just encouraging students to interact with the opportunities and the facilities that the Guild already offers, because I think that sometimes they can be promoted a bit more, get more students.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for speaking with us today. It's been lovely to welcome you here. Let's now head back to Max in Underground.
Thank you, Maddie. I am now joined with Abby Kendrick, our part-time disability officer. Now, Abby, how are you feeling?
I've been shaking all night, honestly, but I'm feeling pretty good now.
It's a very nerve-wracking experience in here, so congratulations for running such a strong campaign. It was very impressive. Now, is there anything you feel you've learned from this process that you're going to carry forward?
I think coming into the campaign, I wasn't really sure what kind of style I was going for, but as soon as the candidates were announced and I knew that there were people running against me, I just gave my all into it. I put through an amazing social media campaign with my team. And yeah, so I think it's like, if you're really passionate about something, you just have to go for it. And yeah, it pays out.
So, can you give us a highlight of your campaign?
I think my highlight was probably getting collaborations with other candidates. I think that really pulled through our campaigns. And I think as well, the social media side of things. I won social media tonight, which I'm really proud of. And my campaign team were great in participating in that. So yeah, I think the TikToks were the best thing.
I think definitely in this modern age, TikTok is the way to go for marketing. Now, do you have any final message for your supporters and our viewers tonight?
I just want to thank everyone who supported me, the voters, my campaign team, Jamie and Lucy, and my boyfriend Lawrence. I promise I give them a shout out. So yeah, the support has been really good.
Well, shout out Lawrence. Now, thank you very much for that. I'll let you get back and enjoy the rest of your evening. So with that, we'll head back to Maddie in the studio.
Thank you, Max. And we are back in the studio joined by Alex, the winning candidate. So thank you for chatting to us. How are you feeling?
Feeling relieved. I'm excited, obviously, to get started, but I'm relieved. It's very tense, and particularly going towards the end of the night. It's a long time to wait.
Yeah.
At the end of a very long week of campaigning, it's really, really good to finally know that it's all paid off.
Yeah, and you can celebrate now, I suppose.
Yeah.
So now that you've won, what are you most excited to enact from your manifesto?
I think something that I'm really, really excited to get started on is working on scrutinising the 2030 strategy. There's a huge university strategy that not many students know very much about. They should know a lot more. It's going to have a huge effect on the student experience. So I'm going to get to work reading on that and implementing the rest of my policies. But just reading up on the role and settling in.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Did you have any inspirations for your manifesto?
Not really. I mean, I'm coming towards the end of my 4th year now here. So I've been here a long time and seen a lot of things, a lot of issues, and it was just that sort of experience over 4 years, as well as being on a year abroad, and things I wanted to bring from having had a different experience in Canada. So that's really kind of what drove me to the role, and I thought hopefully everyone seems to have agreed with my solutions. So
absolutely.
It's great.
And you touched on in your manifesto some practical measures that you want to implement. Do you want to talk about those a little bit more?
Yeah, so one of them that was really important and actually ended up featuring quite heavily in the campaign with some of the other candidates was about paying student reps. And I think that student reps, I've been a rep since first year, and I've been a college rep this year, do like a tremendous amount of work, particularly the college and the school reps, and paying them and making sure we've got funding to pay them is really, really important. And that's something that I would really like to work on as soon as possible. There's loads of other stuff, but I don't want to take too much of your time this evening. But yeah, I'm really, really happy to get started.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for joining us.
all right.
I hope you go and celebrate well. We'll now head over to Max in the Underground.
Thank you, Maddie. Now, this time I am here with Max Williams, our new Sustainability Officer. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
How do you feel after that win?
I'm kind of a bit surprised. I'm not sure how I know how to feel. I think maybe once I've gone home and sat down, maybe it'll sink in, but I'm still processing it, I think.
It always takes a while to process. Now, did you have any friends and family here supporting you tonight?
I did, yeah. I had 2 members of my campaign team, Rob and Tilly. Yeah, it was nice to have them clapping for me in the crowd.
Yeah, it's always nice to have support. Now, can you give us, what was the main focus of your manifesto?
So my manifesto is kind of summarised into my campaign slogan, which was Vote Max to enact change. And enact stood for education, nature, action, community and transparency. So those are my key points that I'm looking at in my manifesto.
Okay, well, covering all bases there, I like it. Now, why do you think that specifically resonated with students?
I think just the word enact, I think just conjured up some ideas of, people wanting to make change. And I think throughout my campaign, I always use the same slogan, the same colours, the same scheme. So I think that kind of really helped my visibility and people connecting the colours and the words to my face, I think, hopefully.
Well, your campaign was very impressive, and I look forward to see what you've got in store for us this year. Thank you, enjoy your night, and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Maddie, let's get back to you.
Thank you very much, Max in Underground. So, Poppy, we nearly are done with the show this evening. What a night it's been, hey?
Yeah, it's been great. And I mean, it's been really nice to speak to people who've got all different sorts of experiences. I know that we're talking about having people who are running the international students. We've had people who are at different parts in their degree. So, yeah, it's been really interesting to hear about different people's perspectives and experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been so many candidates this week for this year's election, and it's been really great to see it all pan out. But we're going to head back to Max in the studio now. He's going to interview another one of our successful candidates.
Now, we've already spoken to a few of the winners tonight, but here we have Abby, the winning candidate for the part-time position of trans and non-binary officer. Thank you very much for coming in today. How did you feel after the win?
It's pretty good. I feel quite happy about it, yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the key factors of what you think helped you with this election?
It's not so much what helped me with the election as what encouraged me to stand, and that's honestly the incredible work that Robin's done before me. So Robin, my predecessor, has just been incredible in the role. They've done it for 3 years, and the fact that they were going to stand for a full-time role, and that left the position open, and they encouraged me to do it, that was instrumental. Without them, I wouldn't have done it.
Well, we have heard some chat about Robin in previous interviews. It seems they have quite a good reputation. Now, are you excited to work with the other part-time officers?
100%, yeah. It's representing people and looking after people and looking out for people is something I'm really, really passionate about. And it's an honour to be elected to do that. It really is.
No, well, congratulations. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what do you plan to enact in your role?
Well, it's my manifesto point, so I've got name change things. I mentioned in the question time, but that's an absolute state at the moment in the uni. I want to continue to lobby the uni to better include trans and non-binary folk in their decision making, better gender-neutral toilets, and just generally to create a community and to strengthen the existing communities.
Oh, that sounds brilliant. So I have to ask, how do you plan to celebrate tonight?
I'm going to sleep. I'm quite tired.
Yeah, I bet. The elections take it out of you. I know it's taken out of me. Well, thank you very much, and go enjoy your sleep. I will head back for the last time to Maddie in the studio.
Well, what a night it's been. Thanks to all the candidates' hard work, we now have our newly elected Guild officers for 2024 to 2025. We can't wait to see what they bring next year. Thank you to presenter Max, analyst Poppy, and to all those joining us tonight. We hope you've enjoyed yourself. We have been Guild TV, covering the Guild 2024 elections. Good night and see you next year.